Okay, to finish out our discussion of Matplotlib, hopefully you did the 3 figures and saved those, turn those in. Let's see if we can dig a little bit more into this data. And one of the ways I want to do that is I actually want to do a more sort of fancier way of setting up this plot so it looks really nice. So if you remember before, we're going to do the fig x plt dot subplots. We're going to do a fig size. And let's do fig size equals 10.6. Oh, phi size is not going to work. Fig size works better. Okay, now we have our figure. So we're going to set up our scatter plot. That's going to be equal to our plot scatter. Now we know what kind, so we don't need to re-enter that, but now we need to enter our data. So we're going to do smokers. Let's do age again. Let's do... And that'll automatically go to our X because we're doing that first. We'll do smokers charges as our second set. Okay. Now we're going to do C in this type. So before we did C as charges, and that made this sort of like heat map over here on the right. I'm kind of interested in seeing this really distinctly separated by sex. And so I want the color map to do that. The color shading to do that. But let me show you the issue. If I go ahead and do that, and I don't do anything to it, right? Oops. And let's go. Oh, well, I think I can just hit enter and see what... Yeah, there we go. Okay. You'll notice it says right here that this is an object. And we know from before when we were talking about our car database that like object can mean like string, right? This basically it's not a number, so it doesn't know how to color map it. So basically we want a way to turn this into something that it can understand to color map relationally. Like how does male and female relate? So what we're going to do is we're just going to say basically check if it's female. If it's female, that'll be a true. If it's male, that'll be a false. And that'll then turn this into a binary that it can understand better. Okay, so let's just do a little bit more work on our thing here. Let's go ahead and add a title. We've done this before, right? And the title would kind of be medical cost by sex and age. Our X label is age in this case. Equals, X label equals age. Y label, and I guess I could make this look a little bit nicer, right? Give it a capital, no reason not to. Our Y label in this case is actually going to be charges, right? Or cost, if you will. Okay. We don't need to label anything else just yet. All right, well, let's go ahead and do that. And let's see what we get here. Okay, interesting. One thing I find interesting is that we can start to see some grouping and some trending. Okay, interesting, right? There's kind of this group that seems to be around the over 3,000 cost area, and then this group that seems to be starting at least below the 2,000 area, and then they all gently slope up right, aside from our outliers, as age increases. So, you can start already thinking about, like, what is this telling us? One of the things this is telling us is that as age increase, costs increase, right? That should seem relatively obvious. Here's an interesting part, though. I said this was by sex, too, but I don't know what's happening here. I can't tell what the yellow versus the blue means. Okay, so what I need is a legend, probably. So I can set a legend. And I can do that by entering a scatter.legend. elements. And all I want is the title. And the title in this case is actually going to be pretty indicative because I'm just going to say female because it's a true or false, right? Now we get the true or false, meaning the 0 is false, not female, and the yellow is true, female. Interestingly enough, you kind of start noticing a trend, right? There's a little bit of a trend, not much, especially here on this upper band, that, you know, your lower line does generally tend to be male, it looks like, and you've got this kind of mid-range that's female, and then you've got some other outliers here. So that might be telling us something. It seems like we're getting some information about our data set already. That's cool. Let's do another one, and let's compare a couple of other pieces of data. So I'm going to grab all of this. I'm going to paste it down here, and I'm just going to make some changes. For example, what if we didn't do by age, but instead we did by BMI? Stick with charges, sticks with sex equals female, and now we're not doing it by age, but we're doing it by BMI. So we can change these to BMI. I'm going to add one more feature. Well, let's run this and see what this looks like. Oh, interesting. Okay, we've got this really interesting change going on here, right? Kind of around the age 30, it seems to really jump. Costs seem to really jump. I wonder what this kind of is. I wonder what this line is that's happening here that seems to separate these two large groups. Well, if I want that to be more obvious, I can do this, adding a horizontal line, and I'm going to add it at the value of smoker charges because that's my y-axis there. And I just want to kind of know what the mean is. I'm interested kind of in what the average cost here is. I'm guessing it's going to be right here where we're seeing the separation because it kind of looks to me like we've got about the same number of people above and below, right? That is going to kind of produce this. I guess we could also check for the mode or something like that. We have to set a line style, and there's a number of different line styles. I like the dotted line style, but you should feel free to check out the various line styles and see what you like. There we go. So we end up with this really interesting mean line there that we can kind of see at 30, you're below average for the most part without, you know, not considering some outliers right up here. But when you're above 30, all of a sudden, like all of your medical costs, there are no outliers below that line there, at least for smokers. And now, so we've done all of this for smokers and we've discovered some interesting information. I wonder how this changes for non-smokers. So your next task is to go through the same process with non-smokers and maybe with everybody. So you should be producing a couple of different figures. Go ahead and turn in 4 different figures this time. Do the same analysis with smokers, with non-smokers, and then do the same analysis with everybody and see what kind of trends you notice. See if anything changes. That'll be interesting. And then also, it might be interesting when you're doing the full set to see if this seems to line up by changing this value from sex to smokers. And seeing yes smoker, no smoker, and seeing how that changes the analysis that you can do. Okay, go forth. 4 figures this time. 2 for non-smokers and 2 for non-smokers and 2 for the full data set. Good luck.